looking at determining if triangles are similar, so we need to have corresponding angles congruent, corresponding sides proportional. When you look at this, you see two angles. You know your triangle adds up to 180, so you have to add your two angles and you get 61 and 30 make 91. So you're missing 89 degrees when you complete the triangle. So if you look at this without doing any work, you might first think there's no similar triangle to this. But now, when you look at triangle C, you see an 89 and a 61. So the third missing angle is 30, because that's the three numbers that add to 180. Okay? I'm going to talk a little bit before I do questions, and then I'll take questions. Corresponding angles mean the smallest angle. So if I look at the smallest angle, being 30 here, it corresponds to the smallest angle there. That means the sides that correspond are this 6 and this 4. So the ratio is, if I compare 6 to a side, I have to compare it to 4 if I'm comparing corresponding sides. And for me to tell if the triangles are similar, I have to look at other corresponding sides and make sure they're all proportional. This reduces to a half, right? So this is, when comparing triangle A to triangle C, we're in a 1:2 ratio. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So now if I look at 61, the corresponding side to 61, opposite of 61 is this 10.5. Opposite of the 61 up here is 7. You see that? So if I have to see if those are in the same proportion. Are they in, oops, yeah, they get 1 to 2.
Yeah, I was like,
What did you think?
3 to 2. I don't know what I was doing there. Sorry. No idea where I got that. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to compare the larger 10.5 to the smaller, which is 7, and I want to decide if that is the same ratio. Does that make sense? So I just want to show you guys, I could multiply these both by 10 and have 105 over 70, couldn't I? And 35 goes into 70 twice, right? How many times does 35 go into 105? 3, right?
yeah.
So it's still a 3 to 2 ratio. Does that make sense? So to complete the process, I have to compare my 12 to my 8. And that 12 to 8, because the third pair of corresponding sides are opposite the 89-degree angle. So 12 to 8 should also reduce to 3 to 2, and it does because 4 goes into both of these. Does that make sense? So the word corresponding means in the same relative position. To tell if two triangles are similar, we have to make sure that they have proportional sides. Corresponding sides have to be proportional. The corresponding angles have to be congruent. AJ.
So does that mean the triangle D and triangle C and A, like triangle D and let's just say triangle A, the corresponding angles are congruent with the sides are proportional?
The angles are congruent, right?
Like the sides.
Well, I don't know if they are because I have to do the problem again. So let's try that. So I would say is 20 to 8. Is that the same as the medium? Well, let's take the small side. Is that the same as 10 to 4?
Yes.
Okay, because these are divisible by 2, right? So that would be 5 to 2, right? And 20 over 8 is divisible by 4, so that's 5 to 2, right? So you would do the third pair,
Which is
17.5 to
So, oh yes.
the middle,
They are.
which we did over, so that would be 175 over 70, right?
and yeah, I know.
And 35, I mean,
2.5.
right. So I think in this case, it'd be easier to see what goes into, if you divide by 35 here, you'll get 5 to 2. Okay, so here's the thing, you guys. Tonight's homework is an extension of last night's, except for one thing. The only thing is you will be given, say, triangle D, everything but one side. And you have to find the missing side, which we've done before. You have to find a missing side. So the way you do it is, you know, to get from, for example, 8 here to 20, what's the scale factor? It's 20 over 8, right?
Yeah.
So 20 over 8 is the same as 2.5, right? So you would multiply your 4 by 2.5 and get the 10. You would multiply your 7 by 2.5 to get the missing value, which we did the last couple of nights a little bit. You multiply by the scale factor. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So 2 times 7 is 14. Half of 7 is 3.5. 14 and 3.5 make that missing value. Does that make sense? So that's pretty much it tonight.